guys, it's Michael Joe from the Vintage Trading Post. Happy New Year, everybody. It's been a while. I apologize. I've been busy with family stuff, work stuff, but I'm back. Can't wait to get 2026 up and running the right way. A lot of stuff going on. I know the hobby of Magic right now seems like it's a little flat, but I want to talk to you guys about a couple things. I want to talk to you about the general economy and some of the stuff that I'm seeing and hearing and all that good stuff. So let's get into it. First of all, the economy. Let's talk about the economy, the MTG economy. That is, it's a little flat right now, right? Prices are down. It's nothing that we haven't seen in the last 30 years of MTG finance. We've been here before a couple times over the last 30 years, and every single time it's gone back the other way. And the spikes that we had a couple years ago, we were there a couple times in the 30-year mark. So, guys, this is waves. Things go left and right, up and down. I wouldn't get too worried about it. I'm hoping the global economy starts improving, and with that, the hobby and collectibles in general will start going back up. So let's start talking about a couple things today. I want to talk to you about the hobby. I want to delve specifically into the graded card world of MTG, and basically talk about some of the other categories of the hobby as well. I want to put a disclaimer out right now. I am a BGS collector. I'm sure a lot of you that know me know I'm a BGS collector. For those unfamiliar, BGS is Beckett Grading Service. I'm not going to speak ill will towards any other grading company. I think that's been done enough lately. So let's begin. Why does anyone buy, sell, or trade Magic? Well, let's break it down into a couple of reasons, right? There's some that are into Magic for short-term and long-term profit. They don't really collect or hold cards. Let's call these guys profiteers, right? Others, they make a living off of Magic. They're buying, selling Magic, sometimes trading their own cards or cards through a consignment or whatnot. And they're usually not typically only Magic. There are other TCGs as well. We're going to call this group the dealers. There's others that collect Magic because they love the hobby and the game. They love reminiscing and the nostalgia of it. They love to just open up a binder and look page to page at all their cards, or pull out their drawer or pull out their cabinet and look at their graded cards. These guys are your collectors. And then there's others that just like playing the game. They want to play vintage, they want to play old school, they want to play Commander and Modern, and these are your players. So that's pretty much your group. Your groups, I should say. There's other reasons why people buy, sell, and trade Magic, but those are the main reasons. In this video, I'm going to kind of stay on dealers and collectors. For one, what do the profiteers and the dealers have in common? Well, they want your money. That's what it is, guys. And I don't blame them. That's part of the game within the game, Let's talk about the hobby of collecting Magic. This is a little different. I had to break this down into 6 categories, and one of them is a miscellaneous group, but we'll get to it. There might be actually more categories than these 6, but these are the big ones that I've seen in my 30 plus years of the game. Straight up, there is raw card collecting. There's graded card collecting. There's sealed collecting, packs and whatnot. Uncut sheet collecting. Art collecting. And then there's that general group miscellaneous. I mean, there's all sorts of different items that Magic has produced other than cards and whatnot. So of these categories, some of them affect others by nature. It's just the way it works. For example, graded card collecting has a direct effect with packs, or packs vice versa. It's just the way it goes. People buy an old vintage pack because they want to get the card to send it out for grading. Just the way it goes. Let's focus on the raw and graded card collecting for a minute. For those who do not know, raw card collecting is basically getting MTG cards straight out of packs or buying singles, whether it's online or in stores, and for the most part, anything else that's not related to already graded cards or sealed product. Graded card collecting is when the hobbyist sends a raw card that they get from the store or in a pack to any one of any grading company of their choice. When they send it in, they're asking to get the card's physical attributes professionally graded by the company in return for a fee. Once the card is graded, the card is no longer raw, it's considered graded, and it's typically gets encapsulated into a plastic slab. Some of you guys, you raw collectors, like to call that its tomb. Now let's move into the reason why collectors collect raw and graded cards. For one, there are collectors out there who just enjoy collecting sets. I'm one of those guys. Whether they're raw or graded, they just like putting sets together. Some collectors like collecting 4 of a specific card, otherwise known as a play set. To me, they're also set collectors, and they are the most genuine of all the collectors out there. Um, there's the one card collector, I call it, or the specific card collector. Those guys are the guys that go out and buy a specific card, and that's all they collect. They'll collect a specific card from all the editions, all the languages. It's just what they do. I have a friend here in the Chicagoland area. He loves the Shivan Dragon, and that's what he collects. And I mean, he collects other cards, but that's what he loves more than anything, and more power to him. Nothing wrong with that. You also have the nostalgia collector. Those are the collectors that like to collect cards from back in their day, if you would. They typically like different blocks of Magic. There's guys that grew up got into the game into the late 90s, and they're all into the Urza's block, Legacy, Destiny, Saga. So that's usually what the nostalgic collector likes, specific eras in MTG. I am a vintage guy, the Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, Revised, Arabian Nights, Antiquities, Legends, and the Dark. That was really my thing when I got into it. I got into it right around when Unlimited was getting phased out, Revised was just coming in, Legends was big. It was about the time that I really got into Magic. I started messing around with it a little bit before that, but I really got into it in that era. So about that 1990, and the 93, 94 era. And finally, there's the overall collector who collects everything and anything of Magic. They often collect other aspects of the game besides raw and graded cards. It's just what they do. So there's other reasons why people collect MTG, but these are the main reasons that I've witnessed in my 30 years experience. Okay, so is everyone still with me? Now let's move our focus back into grading. Let's look into the grading card companies out there. There's a lot of old school ones out there. I mean, the old school, PSA, BGS, formerly there was SGC. There were some other ones out there, but those are the 3 main ones that dominated early grading. Now today, there's a whole bunch of new ones out there. And when I say new, I don't necessarily mean new to the hobby, but new to Magic. CGC, big comic book grader for the longest time. They got into Magic recently, within the last couple of years. There's TAG, there's Rare Edition, there's Triple C or CCC. There's a whole bunch of other ones out there now. For any of the graded card collectors out there, you know that over the past couple of years, there's kind of a cold war amongst collectors and dealers, and there's a whole bunch of drama over how one card company, grading company, is better than another card grading company, and why certain card grading companies are terrible. And I just laugh at it. I don't understand the underlying animosity. I know that certain collectors who for years supported one grading card company, seemed like overnight they jumped ship to another grading card company. Are they right? Are they wrong? I mean, did they get duped? I don't know. Let me say this. I don't care what anyone uses for a grading card company or what anyone prefers to use for a grading card company over another. What I care about is the hobby, which is in danger right now because new collectors are confused. They're confused with what's going on in the hobby, the economy. They're uncertain about grading card companies. I'm not going to boost one company more than another, but I think each collector needs to look at numerous factors when they're getting into graded card collecting. Before we get into that, let me help my audience understand what is kind of going on, at least in my opinion, with collectors and dealers and the graded card companies. The grading companies. Again, this is just my opinion, but let's use an analogy of liquor. Everybody knows there's wine, there's spirits, there's beer, right? So for this analogy, let's use wine. Wine's going to represent uh, sealed product collectors, okay? Spirits are going to represent like the raw card collector out there in the Magic community. And we'll say beer represents the graded card collectors of the world, okay? So let's focus again on graded. So beer drinkers typically prefer one specific brand, right? They might try other ones, but they're pretty loyal to the beer that they like. The brand in this analogy is going to represent the grading card company that collectors choose. So here we go. Let's use Budweiser, which is Anheuser-Busch. We're going to use that and call that PSA in the MTG card collecting, graded card collecting world. There's Miller out of Milwaukee, which is will be BGS in this analogy. If you want, I know there's some Coors fans out there. I like Coors. We'll say that's SGC, even though SGC is no longer their own company anymore, but we'll just use it for the scenario here, or the analogy here. Okay, everyone still with me? So recently there's been new Magic companies emerging, like CGC and TAG. For the purpose of this analogy, let's equate these new grading card companies to trendy new craft beers. If you know, just hear me out on this. They're not really new to liquor, but new to the beer market, or in this case, the MTG market. Okay, so one day, we're all beer drinkers. We walk into a bar and we ask our bartender for our favorite beer. He tries to tell you what's on special. You're like, hey, you know what? I want what I want. Let's say you prefer Budweisers. So you tell him I want a Budweiser. He gives you one. You start drinking it. And while you're drinking your ice cold beer, a younger, inexperienced fan of beer comes up to you and starts telling you about their craft beer and how much it's so much better than what you're drinking. And you know, you kind of shrug them off. You keep drinking your cold Budweiser, and this guy will not let it go. He keeps coming up to you and he's like, your beer sucks, and everyone is drinking this craft beer. So you stop, you set your beer down, you look around the bar. You notice nobody in the bar other than him and maybe his friend are drinking the craft beer. Everyone else is drinking Miller or Budweiser. So you ask the bartender, hey, you know, how much is that craft beer? And he tells you, you think it's astronomically priced. You're like, hey, pour a little bit in a shot glass and you try it and take a sip. You don't like the taste of it. So you tell the guy of craft beer, hey, you know what? I'm not into this. I'm going to continue drinking my Budweiser. Let's just leave the analogy here for a second, okay? We'll come back to it in a minute. I began looking into this animosity amongst collectors and dealers and everybody else in the graded card community over the last couple of years. It started a couple of years ago. Again, I don't want to badmouth any of the graded card companies out there, but I was confused as to why there was such a push for new grading card companies, and more importantly, why some people were really pressing the issue, more so than other people. For those who know me, they know what I do for a living, and they know I love to investigate matters. So I focused on what any good investigator should focus on, and that's the money. Follow the money and you'll figure everything out. That's what they always say, right? So that's what I did, and what did I learn? Well, here we go. I learned for the most part that the profiteers and the dealers, not so much the collectors, were at the front of this push to convert to new grading card companies. Why would dealers want to push that? It bothered me. I think we all know the answer to it. Hypothetically, over the course of the hobby growing, graded card collecting, MTG, is it possible to say that some of these dealers could have established relationships with employees of some of these grading companies? Obviously, that's true. They probably do establish relationships. If it is true, then these dealers could easily get significant breaks on grading cards, pick up on news and rumors way ahead of anybody else, and they might even get preferential treatment when they're grading their cards, right? I mean, all that's possible. It's probably extremely difficult to prove, at least beyond a reasonable doubt, but again, it all could be very possible. So again, sticking with me hypothetically, what if the friends and associates of dealers, not dealers themselves, start reaching out to the collectors, the old school collectors, the Budweisers and Millers, the PSA and BGS of the MTG world? What do you think they would want? I mean, they're pushing their new grading company, right? Well, what happens if they came up to you and they wanted to buy older cards, graded cards, cards graded by the older graded companies, BGS, PSA? What do you think they want? I mean, well, at first, I think they just wanted to convert the older collectors to the new grading companies. If that didn't work, I think they wanted to use self-made propaganda to create indirect fear in an attempt to lean the older collectors, towards the newer grading companies. If all else fails, what if some of these dealers or the friends of the dealers begin reaching out to buy the already PSA and BGS cards from the collectors? Now, I'm not talking about, hey, you know what, I'm pushing Triple X Grading Company. It's the newest grading company out there, and you need to convert to it. Hey, by the way, let me buy your BGS Black Label whatever card or your PSA time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying these guys are going to come out hypothetically and ask you, hey, do you have any BGS 8.5 cards? Maybe even some BGS 9 cards? Um, you may ask yourself, well, why would anyone pushing the new grading company want these cards from the older companies? Again, all hypothetical. So let's talk about the term crossing over, crossing cards over. This is when one card was already graded by a specific company and it's given a specific grade. The owner of that card now goes over and takes that graded card from company A and takes it over to company B and tries to get the second graded company B to look it over and see if company A had the right grade. Um, Maybe they might look at it, company B might look at it and say, nah, company A was wrong. That should be even graded higher. So they crack it open, they grade it, and they give it into a new slab with company 2 now, company B. And now all of a sudden the owner of this card owns a higher graded card with a different company. Now, let's do another scenario for the purposes of teaching crossing over. And let's say the card in the scenario is going to be a PSA 10. New buyer of a PSA 8. The new buyer of a PSA card sends it out to another grading company. We'll say one of the newer ones. We'll say the Triple X grading company. Hey, Triple X grading company, is this PSA really a PSA 8? Triple X grading company looks at it and goes, no, we think it's a 9.5. So what do you think about that? Owner's like, hell yeah. Okay, crack it open and regrade it. I'll pay you your fee. Again, grading companies, just like profiteers and dealers, they just want your money, guys. That's all it is. I know that grading cards is very arbitrary, but at the end of the day, everything is green, guys. Everything's about money. So let's go back to this scenario here, right? So now Triple X Grading Company cracks open that PSA card, which was a PSA 8, throws it in their new slab, grades it a 9.5. Now the owner of this card's all happy and he's done, right? Wrong. No. Now what he's going to do is he's going to take that Triple X 9.5 and he's going to go over to another company, a third company, company C, which in this case we'll say is BGS. Hey BGS, look at this. I got a Triple X 9.5 here. What do you think about that? Now BGS might feel compelled and be like, well, I'm not going to go any higher, but okay, I agree it's a 9.5. What do you want to do with it? The owner of the card goes, you know what? I don't like Triple X company. You know what? I like BGS. Put it in a BGS slab for me. Now BGS cracks open the card, grades it, puts it in their slab, and now the guy's got a BGS 9.5 card. Let's recap. He went from a PSA 8 to a Triple X company 9.5 to a BGS 9.5. Now sometimes this works and it goes higher, sometimes it doesn't, but um, the problem with the newer grading companies are they're new to MTG, and I think they want to get their foot in the door, and sometimes they're a little bit more lenient, and they want to get more people into the hobby, so they give out good grades, but that typically is reflected in sales. Sales are everything, guys. If you look at past sales, that's going to tell you where the values really are. Although some collectors have converted to the newer companies, a lot of the older and experienced collectors, they remain loyal to the grading companies that have been established for forever, no matter what their issues may be. So going back to my analogy of the liquor real quick, and I know I sound like an old man going back and forth, but going back to my analogy of the liquor, some guys just like their Miller and Budweiser. They don't want that crap craft beer. Now, despite the overall MTG market being down over the past 3 or 4 years, what I really want to show you is what we were just talking about, and that's the value of these graded cards. Seriously, for the most part, look up PSA 10s and BGS 9.5s. They're still selling a lot higher than the newer graded card companies' cards of the same card set and grade. Um, you know, what's that telling you? It's telling you that the old companies still hold their value. So why are some people, dealers, still pushing the new companies so much? Just think about it, guys. Just think about it. Let's change gears a little bit. So what is this all doing to the hobby? Well, there's definitely distrust amongst collectors, dealers, players. Between that and the low global economy, we're ungraded MTG. It's slowing down drastically. There's other reasons as well, of course, but these are the most concerning to the average MTG graded collector and to me. Now, I know a lot of experienced collectors who shit on the newer graded companies. Again, I'm not going to do that, but they give me all the reason to stay with the older grading companies for my personal collection. Just remember, no matter what you like to collect or how you want to grade your cards, it's really all about networking with real collectors out there and not so much listening to the whole doom and gloom propaganda that certain people in the community who only want to profit off you are spreading. Let's move on to the news. Don't quote me on any of this. This is just what I've been reading in the groups and whatnot. I've been, again, real busy with work and family and whatnot. But it turns out PSA's parent company, Collectors, recently reached an agreement to acquire BGS. If you guys remember, Collectors previously acquired SGC. I guess changed up a bunch of stuff at that company, basically fizzling it out. So what does this mean? What does this mean to BGS? Is this all official? There's so many rumors going on around about this, guys. One rumor is there's a politician that's trying to block the deal. There's rumors saying that the politician thinks it's a monopoly and that's why he's fighting it so much. Another rumor going around is PSA is going to get rid of everything BGS has done. No more subgrades, no more black labels. People are saying it's going to happen because that's what they did with SGC. They got rid of their grading system. I don't know. I don't know. I heard so much from people over the last couple of weeks. It's making me laugh. The best one here, people, VGS is done. It's over with. Everything's done. Fear, doom. What I found interesting is the people saying all this are the same people that were trying to convert all the old BGS collectors to the new grading companies. Well, let me ask you this. If BGS is truly done, and PSA buys them out and whatnot, then PSA is going to become the biggest and strongest grading company of all of them. If that happens, how are these newer companies going to stand a chance, even with all that fake hype and propaganda that's being passed around? I heard some people ask, what if PSA starts taking already graded BGS cards and starts converting them or crossing them over to PSA cards? I'm not even sure what these people are trying to insinuate here. Here's my take on all this. Every true graded card collector knows that no matter what company they prefer, the graded card should have a serial number assigned to it. Most of these grading companies, they keep track of all that. They keep track of the serial numbers, and they make it public, usually in a pop report. They have the date the card was graded, the name of the card, the set, all that stuff. It's all documented, along with the overall grades and or subgrades. For those that follow BGS, they already know that the serial number for BGS is coming up on, I could be off on the number, I think it's 20 million now. The last group I looked at, I think, was 179 or 189. I don't remember. But it's coming up on 20 million now, as of the date of this video. I mean, this should lead serious collectors to believe that if PSA takes over, anything prior to that number, that 20 million number, serial number, that's going to prove that those were graded by BGS and not by PSA. Again, we're going with the theory that PSA is definitely acquiring BGS. I get it. I got a lot of confused viewers watching me right now saying, Mike, what the hell are you talking about? Well, another disclaimer here. This is not investment advice. This is just how I'm viewing the matter. I think a lot of experienced collectors are viewing the matter the same way. What I'm trying to say is this. If BGS stops grading cards and PSA takes over, and let me make this clear, eliminates BGS, name, their subtitles, black labels, changes up the way the whole thing is done, then BGS is a company that's generationally trusted and been grading cards for over 20 years. They're done. That means the true BGS population report is complete and will never change. BGS ain't going to grade any more MTG cards. PSA might, but not BGS. What does this mean? Well, it means the true BGS pop numbers, they're finished. There'll never be any more added cards to that BGS pop report. And true collectors, even if they would keep the BGS pop report going, all the collectors are going to keep an eye on that serial number, and they know if after 20 million, that's not the real BGS. Never again is there going to be a card graded by the real BGS. Depending on how PSA performs moving forward and any changes they may do, getting rid of those subgrades, black labels, those old BGS cards, um, you know, they're out there in the world. They remain in their own group, and I think they might be valued that way. I think a lot of collectors, dealers, profiteers probably realize the value of the old school BGS cards will most likely go up in value since they're one of 20 million, whatever it is, or whatever the final pop report says for a specific card. Look at the pop reports for MTG cards, especially vintage and silver cards. If the crazy rumors of PSA later converting old BGS cards to new PSA cards actually happen, then the old BGS pop report numbers shrink even more. So what does that mean? Well, if you own a BGS card with a pop of 10 or less, this could mean a significant value spike over the next several years for those specific cards. Let's do another thing. Let's play the what if game, okay? And I know a lot of you guys are like, the hell with what if? But what if certain dealers over the last couple of years, or friends of the dealers and inexperienced graded card collectors, they come into the hobby and they start pushing these new graded card companies all the way up to today. And all the while, again, what if they were secretly buying all the old school BGS cards and PSA graded cards? And what if these same dealers and inexperienced graded card collectors and friends of the dealers somehow establish connections and relationships with the employees of some of these graded card companies, and become even friends with some of them working at these companies? And one more, and what if these same dealers play the crossover game for their own profit? It's mind-blowing, right? Why would a dealer or a profiteer do all that? Because they want your money. I'm going to leave you with the bigger question, though, and this is the important one to me. If this is all true, and it's quite possible that's all happening, what is this doing to the hobby of graded cards, graded MTG cards? Everyone, and I mean everyone, collectors, dealers, profiteers, players, we should all want the same thing, and that is for the hobby and the game to grow. There should be no disputing this. This should be 100% across the board. Right now, I think a lot of BS is scaring new collectors, especially in the graded card hobby, which is not only sad, but it's embarrassing. Everyone should wake up and realize that every graded card collector has their freedom of choice to go with whichever company grades their cards, and whatever company they wish to collect, buy, sell, and trade. No one should be profiting solely off all this BS. Again, I'm not going to shit on any company. It's the third time I'm saying it. What do I care if someone prefers CGC over BGS or PSA, PSA over CGC? Collecting is an art, and each collector is their own artist. To the new collectors out there, curious about graded cards, be yourself and collect what you want to collect. Don't fear the propaganda. Establish a good network of true graded MTG collectors who will give you the proper guidance you need and will help you reach all your collecting goals. I'm always around to answer questions you may have. For those who know me, you know I got experience with it. And there's a lot of good people in the community. Almost everyone that knows me knows that I'm all about collecting and helping the hobby, the game, but most importantly, the community as a whole. Just think about everything I said, guys. And you know what? I think the pendulum and the wave, if you would, the economic wave, I think it finally is down as it's going to go. And I think we're going to start seeing stuff slowly moving the other way. I have a good feeling that vintage and that silver age is going to start making a pretty good comeback soon. Again, not investment advice, just telling you what my gut feeling. But regardless, just think about everything I said in this video, guys, okay? I'm still collecting, still making my goals, working really hard behind the scenes. It's been a great time to be buying stuff. I've been buying a lot. I just want to wish you guys all a happy new year, health and wealth and all that good prosperity and whatnot. If you guys ever need anything, I'll put an email address at the end of this video. Don't hesitate. Reach out to me. And that's it, guys. Happy New Year.